Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sarah.
I'm Allie.
And I'm Amy.
Yes. And we are here for Group D of the Women's Soccer Show, Find Her Football collab crossover of the World Cup group previews. And today we're talking Group D. Did I already say that?
Yes.
I've said a lot of words. Anyways, Group D, namely, has England in it. So I'm sat here with two English people who are very excited to talk about England, but I'm going to make them wait until the very end because we got three other teams to talk about. Group D, China, Denmark, Haiti, and England. So let's get into it. Let's do Denmark first because Denmark is really exciting. I think my opinion on Denmark is that I read a stat that said this is their first World Cup since 2007, where they lost in the group stage. And I was shocked to hear that because they have such a solid reputation within the European sphere.
Do they?
I think that's the question. It's like, is this a misinformed? Like, why are they given so much the credit that they're given? And I think it's frankly because of Pernille Harder. But let's get into it because I think people might see Denmark in this group and say, oh, maybe they could be the ones to maybe tie England. I don't know. But frankly, I have very low expectations for this team. What do you two think?
I think that there are some expectations around Denmark. There always are going into a major tournament, and they have flattered to deceive, especially at the Euros. I don't think they were that great. They didn't particularly play great football, to be honest. But we're looking at their qualification. They're coming off the back of finishing top of their group, 24 points, 40 goals for, 2 against. So that's suggesting that they've got pretty solid
That's a pretty wild goal difference.
That is. It's a really good stat to have. But then you look at the teams in the group that they played against, and it kind of offsets that. I think it was Bosnia and Herzegovina who finished second in the group. So it wasn't exactly a competitive group, but still impressive that they kept teams to 2 goals within the qualifying competition.
I feel like that's echoed in how they did in the Euros. Like they didn't really concede all that much. They lost 4-0 to Germany to kick it off, and that was a doozy. But we all know what Germany looked like in the Euros. And then they beat Finland 1-0, kept a clean sheet, lost to Spain 1-0 on like a 90th minute goal. So I feel like that equates to kind of what we saw in the Euros, where if they're up against really solid competition, they're going to let some goals in, for example, Germany. But generally speaking, they keep a clean sheet.
I think the reason they've got this reputation, it's a bit like with the USA in the fact that they have done well in the Euros for the last couple of competitions. But if you look at previous to that, they haven't. So therefore, the image is, oh, they've done so fantastically. They're a team.
I'm sorry. Why is that like the USA?
Because you guys won the World Cup back-to-back twice, but you didn't do anything between 99 and 2015.
Yeah, but that's like,
well, there you go. That's my point.
Wait, so, not do anything. Do you mean make the final and lose in the final? But we still made the final.
Well, that's the thing. Okay. That's what I'm saying. So, like, you look at the Euros, right? 2013, they got to the semi-finals. 2017, they were runners up to the Netherlands. So that in recent history has given them this like reputation of being a team to beat, but up until then, for the Euros specifically, they didn't qualify for 6 years. Then they got to the semi-finals. Then they got knocked out of the group stage. They aren't this powerhouse that everybody seems to think they are. It's just that the last couple of years, especially in the European stage, they've done really well. Just not much further than that.
Yeah, I thought they played terribly against France when they got knocked out of the Euros in this past European tournament. And quite frankly, for me, like we've already said, they have a solid defense. I agree with that. Where are their goals coming from?
Well, we said so. We're saying they got a solid defense, but you look at their actual like standout players; they're all attacking. So you'd expect them to do better as an attacking team, right? They've got Pernille Harder, arguably one of the best players in the world, as we've seen in the last 2 weeks. As she's come back for Chelsea, she's been absolutely outstanding, and I thought that she was the difference in the cup final this weekend as well. Even though Sam Kerr scored the winner,
she absolutely was.
Goal. And then you've got Catherine Court at Arsenal, young, right? Talented, has been put into more pressured situations because of the injuries that Arsenal have had this season.
Mm-hmm.
And then Signe Brun, who was at Man United, didn't really get many opportunities at United, but has been doing well at Lyon. And for that, she's getting looked at by other clubs now in the WSL, coming back to the WSL. So I don't understand. I mean, what's the issue here with Denmark then? Why aren't they scoring more goals if they've got these creative players and probably one of the best players in the world in Harder?
I feel like that's the disappointment of Denmark. That's why everybody thinks that they're going to do so well, and then they completely let everybody down. I think A, they don't have a bench, and B, it never works when it feels like it's all hinging on one player. And for Denmark, it does really feel like it hinges on Pernille Harder. And there's only so much she can do when she's involved in 30% of the play, because they're playing Germany and Germany's keeping the ball in Denmark's defensive half or even defensive third the entire time, and Pernille Harder doesn't have the ball at her feet. There's only so much she can do in that sense. So I feel like that's the plight of Denmark, is that the ball is usually not at their attackers' feet. I think Kuhl is like outstanding. She might be a difference maker in terms of getting the ball to their attackers' feet, because she's that midfielder that can pull the strings.
Right, the link-up player that they're missing there in the middle to link the passes from the back to the front. But I also think that there's like this expectation around Denmark because they're a Scandinavian team, and Sweden have come into their own and been successful in the last 10 years. And then you look previously at Norway, who were a powerhouse back in the early 90s, late 90s, and it may be just like an expectation, like because they're of that, Scandinavian region, that they should be better than they are. But, like you just said, you hit it nail on the head. They don't have the depth. They don't have the depth that a Sweden does to like really compete. And I'd be surprised if Denmark really cause England problems in this group. But I could see that game being a close one. I wouldn't say England are going to blow them out, but I can see it being a close game. The other players that make up the Denmark squad are primarily in the WSL, actually. But in the sort of mid-table WSL, we've got some Everton players and a couple of NWSL players at North Carolina. So
I'm just saying that Emma Snell's back from injury now and is tearing up the West Ham midfield, so she may be in with a shout to getting into the Denmark squad. I think another reason why Denmark seems to do better than they actually do is because you've had a couple of teams that done quite well in the Champions League that are Danish. So like you've got Brøndby and like that were tearing it up. They didn't quite, win it, but they were getting to like finals, semi-final stages of Champions League. So it does feel like there's these odd pockets of like brilliance, but it doesn't seem to be coming together on an international stage.
Denmark plays China first, England second, and Haiti third. Do we feel like this is kind of like the easiest group to say, okay, it's going England, Denmark, and then either China or Haiti, and that's the only spots that we're kind of back and forth on? Is Denmark going to be challenged by the other two?
Potentially, there could be some room for them to be challenged, but I don't think that China or Haiti has the necessary power to beat them. Both teams don't have strong benches. We talked that Denmark don't, but I think that Denmark's bench is going to be stronger than theirs also. And Denmark are on a 4-game winning streak right now, coming off the back of some friendlies. So they'll be going in with confidence. And I honestly don't really know what to expect from China. I don't think that they're going to cause too many problems for Denmark either. I would say Haiti may be the dark horse.
I'd agree. If somebody's going to do something for Denmark, it'll be Haiti. I just want to throw out some score lines because you mentioned that Denmark are coming off a winning streak, and they really are. They beat Norway 2-0, Uruguay 3-2. They beat Sweden 1-0, and then they beat Japan 1-0. So 3 clean sheets out of 4 games. And the other one was Uruguay, which they won by a goal. And none of the goals, that's 7 goals across 4 games, none of them came from Pernille Harder. But obviously she was injured, but that still means that they didn't come from Pernille Harder.
Which is good news for them because they definitely need
news.
Other people to contribute.
100%. We're already talking about Haiti, so let's move on to Haiti. Haiti, this is their first ever World Cup. I feel like we've got a lot of teams here that have qualified for their first ever World Cup, and I think it's obviously because of the expanded format that we're seeing finally in this World Cup. And it's going to be so good for the game. And this is one of the teams that I think everybody's going to be really excited to watch, because I feel like we all woke up to Haiti in CONCACAF and we got to see just how exciting they are to watch and how many goals they really can put away. They qualified because they finished third in their group. That sent them to the playoff tournament in New Zealand, and they beat Senegal 4-0 in the semifinal, and then Chile 2-0 in the final to send them to the World Cup. So they really played their way into this. Thoughts on Haiti?
Love them. Love what they've done.
Why?
Because they're like the huge underdogs, and I don't think that they're very well funded at all as a federation and as a women's team. And they've upset two huge teams in Senegal and Chile. Chile is no pushover. They have apparently the best goalkeeper in the best 11 in the world in goal for them, right? But they've still managed to upset them and beat them 2-0. So I think that this team is going to go out there and they're going to just they've got nothing to lose, and they're going to surprise people, I think, by the way they play. I think you're right, they score a lot of goals and they have a lot of enthusiasm, and the players in their squad mainly play in the French leagues, and a few of them have scored a ton of goals, so I'm looking forward to that. And it looks good for them. They kept clean sheets against Chile and Senegal. Suggests that they can defend too. So I think that they could be definitely a dark horse in this group.
Clean sheet against Mexico too. Allie, what do you think?
Yeah, that's impressive.
They are one of the youngest squads, I think, that's in this World Cup. I'm looking at recent call-ups and stuff like that. The oldest player is 30, but that is by a long shot. The next one in age is 24. They are really young. A lot of them are coming off of like the under-19s and the under-21 structure. So the fact that they've got to the World Cup is huge, and I'm excited because, like I said, we saw what they did in CONCACAF, and they've got a crazy good goalkeeper. Their goalkeeper is something special and was singled out by Hope Solo.
Really?
Yeah, as someone to watch. Like Hope was talking about it with like CONCACAF about how their goalkeeper was someone to watch as a talent, and again, 19 years of age.
You know what? Say whatever you want about Hope Solo, but she does know goalkeeping.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she's still, the number one. So therefore,
yeah, I'm really excited to watch this team. I mean, I feel like we should call out some key players, because I think that Haiti is very much known in like the Western Hemisphere because of CONCACAF, but not so much everywhere else. But mainly, just to echo everything we've been saying, I feel like we've been saying this too about a lot of the teams that have qualified for the first time. They all have this similar mentality in the sense that they're just going to play to win, and that's it. And they're not going to come out and try to play let's play the tie. Let's sit with our back five and see if we can get one on the counter. They're just going to play to win. And that's what's going to be fun. And that's the reason that they could possibly nick a point off of Denmark or something. Do you guys have any players to call out? Allie, you mentioned the goalkeeper. Anybody else? I have one, but I can't pronounce her name very well. Narila.
So that's why you want us to pronounce it.
Yeah. Yes. Narila Mondesir. She's the first Haitian woman to ever play in France. She's a veteran. She's a key forward for them in a front line that scores a lot of goals. So I think she's one to watch here for Haiti. She'll probably be able to tuck one or two away in this tournament before they exit in the group stage.
You never know. They could pull a Portugal. Like, they may not be a team.
What do you mean Portugal exited in the group stage?
No. What I mean is, like, I don't like. We'll get on.
Oh, you mean like
predictions? But I think they could be a disruptor team.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But Portugal, we saw it in the Euros for Portugal. I think Haiti could well be a disruptor team that could, push either. Because let's be honest, we're saying England, Denmark are going to be the team that go through. Can push which team is going to go into the dreaded first place route or the second place route.
It's funny because I feel like we're all discounting China a little bit, in the sense that we're all saying if there's going to be a disruptor, it's going to be Haiti. But China's the team that won the Asia Cup. So let's talk about China. Like I said, they won the AFC Asia Cup. They beat South Korea 3-2. This is in 2022. To get there, they beat Japan on penalties, which is no small feat to beat Japan. It was tied 2-2, went to pens, and they ended up taking the win and then beating South Korea for the title. This team, they have a history in the World Cup. They've been in every single one except for 2011. 2015, they exited in the quarterfinals, and 2019, they exited in the round of 16. So this team can advance. They have before. Why are we counting them out?
I think that just because I don't think there's any standouts for China. And I think that plays a part, but that doesn't mean that they aren't going to be a cohesive unit and play better as an 11 than if they had, 2 or 3 outstanding individuals. I think that they've just, I don't know, I always look at the 99 World Cup final and I always think that was China's peak. And after that,
totally,
where did they go from there? And I don't think that there's a huge investment in the women's program in China either. But what we do know that we get from China is technical play. They're going to be technically good on the ball. They're going to find each other well, and they're going to keep the ball well. They're similar to Japan in that way. So it's going to be difficult to get the ball from them. But again, similar to Japan is that they don't necessarily take a lot of their chances, and they don't attack quickly. They'll keep the ball, but they won't exploit quick transitions.
It's the classic, they're going to be so organized as a back 11. They're going to be so hard to break down, but they're not scoring. Recent games, they drew 0-0 with Ireland, drew 0-0 with Switzerland, and then they took 2 pretty big losses to Spain and Sweden. And I feel like that tells a pretty good story there, because Ireland and Switzerland, they're on a different level than a Spain or a Sweden. And teams of the Ireland or the Switzerland caliber, they can play defense. They can play their defense against, and it works. But when you get to a Spain, you get to a Sweden, they're just broken down.
I just think they're stagnant. I think they haven't been exciting for a while, that they've sort of stagnated. And we say a lot about teams that play in Asia, that they just, all of their players play in the Chinese league. There's very few that have broken out. And so it's just very stagnant, and it just is very insular. And I don't know how that's going to do on a world stage, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that there's any real growth. Like we talked about this before. I don't know. I don't see China as like a growing nation, like an emerging nation, a force in women's football. They have only lost once to England in 5 meetings, and they won 3. So that's pretty impressive in terms of like head-to-heads with probably the group favourites, we would say.
When was the last time they played England?
Yeah, I don't think they've played super recently though, so that doesn't really tell a great story of the current picture, but it does suggest that China were a force once. Yeah, and they're not that force anymore.
The one that I'm getting stuck on, honestly, is that they were able to beat Japan to advance to the finals, and Japan is not an easy team to break down, and Japan also aren't what they used to be. But they are certainly, in my opinion, probably the best team in Asia, and I would have expected them, if not Australia, to come out with that cup, and they lost in the semis to China.
Yeah, I mean, that is a bit of a surprise, but also I think Japan also flatters to deceive a lot of the time as well. I don't think that they have, again, the same sort of style, right? Keep ball. Where's the end product? There's only so much you can pass the ball around the outside of the box. You have to do something else. That's classic Japan for me. They just keep the ball too much, and there's no real goal scorer, is there? There's no one you can be like, oh my gosh, yes, they're going to score you like, 20 goals or whatever. There's no Alex Morgan. There's no one there for them.
Look at you talking positively about Alex Morgan over there.
I'll never say that again.
In the States too long.
I'll never say that again. She does score goals. I have to give her props for that, at least. I mean, I can't knock her for that because she scores the goals. So
there aren't any goal scorers, but there actually might be on China. Wang Shenshan. Again, I know I butchered this name. I'm sorry. She's a forward. She scored 5 goals in Asia Cup and also played center back. That's my main player to watch for China. Do either of you have any call outs? I mean, Amy, I feel like you said it already. We don't have while China and Haiti have both played a lot of games, beyond their part of the world, China just played Ireland, they played Switzerland, Sweden, for example. I don't feel like we have a lot of visibility into their players, so I don't have too many more players to call out.
I got one plays at Grasshoppers, Zurich, Zhang Linyan. Supposed to be an up-and-coming star for China. Hopefully we can see something exciting from a young player, because I think they need that. They need a star. They need somebody that they can, pin their hopes on. And every nation needs someone like that, just so it gets the country behind them, and it gets more
the
support.
people going.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I love that point, because there can't be enough said about somebody who rallies the people in the country and gets the support. And frankly, that's a lot of what drives investment in the federation, is support and visibility in the country. The one that we've all been waiting for. I
spend half an hour on this one.
I feel like you both want me to not talk as much here, but I have opinions about England. We're going to talk. Of course I do. Just like you guys have opinions about the US. We're going to talk England, and I'll say at the front, like, I'm going to caveat this with the roster still hasn't been dropped. And if we want to have a roster conversation here, we absolutely can, because I feel like a lot hinges on that because of the injuries, because this is a very different team now than what we thought we were going to see 3 months ago.
Right.
But I'll leave this here for you to jump in wherever you want. What first comes to mind when you think of England in the World Cup? I guess the question is, they were the favorites going in before the injuries. Are they still the favorites? Can they still do it?
I want them to.
No surprise there.
I desperately want us to win this World Cup, but I think the realistic side of me has kicked in, and I just seeing our performance against Australia highlighted some key areas that we are missing, and the injuries have really hit us hard. I know that was before Williamson did get injured, but now I'm sort of scrambling around and thinking, are we bringing Steph Houghton back into this team?
No,
but I'm asking the question. I don't.
Let's take a poll. Do you guys want her back? Right? No. Who wants her back? Allie doesn't.
I don't think that we should bring her back, but
okay,
there's a part of her. There's a part of Steph that is the leader that we might need, and it might not be that she plays, but it might be one of those, Abby Wambach type situations where you bring in just someone to be there to like bring the team together. Been in that situation before. Yeah, Lucy Bronze. Okay, I totally understand that, and she is the most senior member of the team and deserves that recognition. And can she bring the team together though? I don't know. Like, has she got that personality to lead the dressing room and bring the team together when there's going to be moments when this England side is going to struggle just because we're missing so many key pieces. And I don't know if Lucy Bronze is that person. But that was where my first initial thought was, should we bring back Steph Houghton? Because she's talked a lot in the press about...
That is a terrible first thought.
We have to put it out there though, right? Because that's going to come to people's minds. Because honestly, if you say Alex Greenwood, centre-back, doesn't inspire me, right? Yeah. Esme Morgan doesn't inspire me. I honestly, those two don't inspire me as centre-back choices. Then I'm looking at Carter, and I think, okay, maybe Jess Carter can do it. But then you have to have them playing together, and because Bright is out, is Bright going to make it back in time?
No, I think Bright's coming back. From what we've heard from Emma Hayes' press conferences and what people have said, it sounds like Bright is a tiny niggle that's keeping her out of Chelsea because she wants to come back for England. So I think it's a bit like we had with Lucy Bronze having the quick surgery beforehand to get fit. I think Bright is coming back.
Bright's been out for much longer than Bronze is going to be out, though, and that for me is concerning, the fact that she hasn't played enough football, and it's going to be too late for her to play any football. She's going to go into it of not playing any lead-up matches. She's been out of Chelsea for a while. She hasn't played any of the build-up for England. And for me, that's concerning, versus Lucy Bronze, who's going to miss a couple of matches at the end of the season. I know she's going to be okay. Honestly, match fitness is a huge thing here, and I don't know if Millie Bright's going to be a step behind when she comes back.
Is this like a Julie Ertz type thing? Because I'm going to bring it back to the US just to make you guys both upset, where Millie Bright's 80% is better than Steph or somebody else's 100%.
Yes.
Millie Bright doesn't have pace.
Yeah, she doesn't have pace whatsoever. I think the Steph Houghton thing is so interesting because the person that we haven't mentioned yet, who was actually a huge part of leadership and morale on the Euros championship squad, is Jill Scott. And she won't be there either. So that's another leader that is now gone. I think the Steph thing is so interesting, especially because of how public it's been and how stubborn Serena might be in going back on her word or not going back on her word. I can certainly see them having a conversation behind closed doors and Steph coming, frankly, to sit on the bench or play the last few minutes of the game. Allie, you mentioned before, I don't remember in what context, but like Allie Krieger coming on at the end of the 2015 World Cup, she'd sat the whole time. And then Kelly O'Hara got a concussion and Krieger played lockdown defense for the last 45. That's what I can see a Steph Houghton bringing to the England squad. I'm not a fan of her at the center back position. I hate the pairing of her and Bright, but I'm a fan of her in the leadership bench capacity.
But I don't think she'll be a leader. That's the problem. It's been too public, this whole thing of her like trying to claw back into the Lionesses squad, that I can't see it as being anything but a negative. Because can you imagine the press attention if Steph gets back into that Lionesses squad? It's going to be humongous. And I just see it taking focus away from the actual tournament play. So that's the reason why I hate it so much. I have nothing against Steph Houghton. I hate it because of the press attention and what it would bring to the team and the detriment. So
let's say Millie Bright, I really hope that the rosters don't drop in between us recording this and us releasing this. Let's say Millie Bright goes. Let's say she goes. She's healthy. She's as fit as she can be coming off an injury. That's their squad. How do you see England doing here? I guess let's start in the group.
Well, I think the style of play has to change because of the way Australia played against us. If you didn't learn a lesson from that and other teams didn't learn a lesson from that also, then we've got a problem because England was shut down. They shut down Stanway and they shut down the avenues to Walsh. And if you can't play through those two players, you have to figure out another way to incorporate them and how to play around to get to them. And I think that Serena Wagman has seen that and will hopefully have a plan in place because again, you just talked about Jill Scott, right? So if we lose Stanway or Walsh, who are we looking at in the middle of the field? I honestly, I'm at a loss. I don't know because I don't know. I honestly, like, we lose like one of those two. You could see Williamson if she was fit, obviously would fit in that hole, but she's not. So if we lose one of those two, that's going to be a problem for us. But I'm hoping that we don't lose them, obviously. I think that playing out of the back, we just talked about how important Bright is. We missed that against Australia. We missed that quality out of the back because Morgan didn't play well and Williamson didn't play well. And they both gave the ball away. And they couldn't figure out how to get the ball out of the back without playing through Walsh or Stanway. So those are two things that we need to figure out as a group, and Wegman needs to figure out, obviously, as the head coach. And then the strikers. I love Russo, but she's not prolific, and Rachel Daly is knocking on the door. Are we not gonna take her seriously at some point? Because
I think Daly should start over. I think Daly should start, or there should be a full formation overhaul. I'm just going to put it out there. Ella Toon's not producing. Put Russo and Daly on the field and go at it.
Yeah, those are my sort of main things for England. And Russo's hold-up play is fantastic. I think she's got the best hold-up play of the strikers. But Rachel Daly's eye for goal and her instinct in front of goal is far better. She scores goals. She scores worldies, but she also scores tap-ins, and that's what we need. And Russo scores great goals too, but I don't think she's as prolific as Daly is. And I think we need that up front. It's something different that we're looking at. And then the wide areas, I think that there's also a question mark there. Who are we playing out wide? Who are our best wide players? Because Lauren James burst onto the scene, and now we've seen her in bigger games, and she's faded. She hasn't took the game by the scruff of the neck and said, "I'm a big game player," which is fine because she's young, and that'll come with experience. But is she ready for a World Cup where she's going to be thrust into the spotlight and asked to do that against big teams? Those are my questions.
I think that your wingers are the only two that are super, super. Actually, not the only two. But I think your wingers are solidified in my mind. I think it's Chloe Kelly and Lauren Hemp, period. And James can come off the bench. But I'm also trying to let you English people talk. Allie, what do you think?
2 words: Ebony Salmon. She has to get called in.
You think she's going to get rostered?
She's been poor. I think she's been poor for Houston.
Bench player.
She would bring you something else. She would bring you something dynamic and something that Beth England might not bring. But Beth England scoring goals as well. So you can't really put her name off the table. I wouldn't at this point. If she keeps Spurs up, she's scoring goals for. I mean, no one else at Spurs is doing anything either. But if she's scoring goals, you can't ignore her. I think you're right about Hemp and
Chloe Kelly.
Kelly. Why can't I remember the winning goal scorer of the Euros?
I know, right?
But also, why I'm bringing this up. I'm a Man United fan. I know that. But anybody who's watched Leah Galton this season, or even for last season, is scratching their head and thinking, what does this girl got to do to get in the team? She's naturally left-footed.
She doesn't want to play for England. She's come out and
has she said that? Yeah, but has she said that because she isn't getting the opportunities? So
no, she's literally come out and said. No, she's literally come out and said that for her mental health, she can't play that consistent football of like constantly league, international. So she's pulled herself out of England contention for her mental health. Because I would be screaming that. I would be screaming for Galton to be in that England squad. She's exactly what we need.
Yeah, that's
but she won't do it. She won't do it.
What do you play football for? What do you play football for then? Are you
She's
just
club, not country. She's club, not country.
For fun, for the love of the game, for the very small paycheck that they give the women.
She could have won it. She could have won a European trophy last summer.
Yeah,
but she's at Man United and won. We're going to say what the championship, but like that's not really like a trophy to be like, oh, we won. Woohoo! Like as a big club, you're not. If you get promoted to WSL, that's not the silverware you're really looking for, is it? As a player, if you've got the opportunity to win the European Championship and possibly a World Cup, you're going to turn that down. It surprises me. I mean, I'm not knocking anybody's mental health choices. That's totally what she needs to do. That's what she needs to do. But it's a little bit baffling for me.
I'm disappointed as a fan. I would love to see her in an England shirt. So you guys have an embarrassment of riches at the 9, obviously, with Alessia Russo, Rachel Daly, and even Beth England, who I'll put as a 9, but could also play on the wing. You've got the 6 and the 8 locked down, and we've already talked through the massive question mark of the back line, right? With the exclusion of Mary Earps. The one question mark that I feel like is a question mark we haven't really talked through, and I think was a key factor in the victory in the Euros, is that number 10 that Fran Kirby was occupying. And now it just falls to Ella Toone?
Well, I guess so, because who else are we putting in there? I mean, Ella Toone has been pretty poor for Man United for at least the last couple of months, I would say, as watching her week in, week out. I think that Ella Toone has also, got a lot to learn as a football player, and I don't think that this is going to be the downfall of Ella Toone in any way. I think she's going through a lean spell, and you can tell she's trying too hard to score, especially at Man United games. She's been trying too hard. I'm watching her, she's taking shots from left, right, and centre. And I know you criticised her the other day for not shooting with her left foot, and yes, she should have shot with her left foot. But assists are, harder to come by for her as well. And
what about Nobsy? Jordan Nobbs get back into the England squad, because moving to Villa's been astounding for her career.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I mean, I would
take Nobsy. I know this is not a selection, what we're talking about selection, but I would take Nobsy.
I know somehow we just got into the roster because that's what all the question marks are. Yeah. What about, I'm going to throw it out there, what about Katie Zellum?
I was going to say Katie Zellum. You have to take Zellum. You got no one else. Who are we going to take? Who's going to be the other?
Anybody but.
Who's going to be the other holding mid?
I think Knobs and Zellum can go. Honestly, I think they both can. You carry 5. You take your starting 3 and take the other 2 and take Knobs and Zellum. I think that's what Serena will end up doing. And I think it'll do her well because it'll give her a lot of flexibility in that formation too. She can play a lot of different formations with all of those. They have so many different qualities between the 5 of them.
Is she going to take, I think she's going to take Charles at left back. She's been doing well for Chelsea the last month or so. She scored some goals too. Yeah. So I think she's going to take Charles at left back, which is good because then that means Rachel Daly's not going to play at left back. And I think on the bubble is Jess Park probably on the bubble. Not sure if she's going to go, but I'd like to see her go just because she's so young and talented and could do something different for England.
I agree.
The one player I'm just looking for is Lauren James. I want to see what Lauren James can bring because she was disappointed in the Champions League against Barcelona. Very disappointing. And I thought she was disappointed in the cup final as well, to be honest.
This group, arguably, we'll say, is not one that really is challenging England. I mean, the group that follows this group A has both the USA and the Netherlands. This isn't that type of group. Is England going to do well to have a group like this, to get their footing and become a cohesive unit before they have to hit the knockout stages? Or do you think it will be a detriment that they won't really be challenged as much in this group?
I don't think it's a detriment. Look at the Euros. The Euros, we had what was considered one challenging team, which was Norway, and we absolutely battered Norway. Austria and Northern Ireland, they were on paper easier teams. They were easier games, and that helped us get the goals, get the momentum, and keep going. So no, I don't think it's a detriment to England to have a easier group.
I don't think it is either, but I think that out of the other 3 teams, I think that Haiti have pace, and that could cause England some problems at the back. If we're talking Millie Bright and let's just say for a laugh that she put Steph Houghton back there. Those 2 would have a hard time against pace. Yeah. And that's the balance that Williamson brought to the team, was that she reads the game so well that she was covering when needed behind Bright. And I think they just balanced each other off as a pair because Millie Bright had an outstanding Euros tournament. So I'm interested to see who pairs best. It might be Jess Carter just because they play together at club level.
I would love to see a Jess Carter because of that Chelsea connection. And they have speed with Bronze wide, and whoever's going to play on the other side, they'll have that speed there. The only mistake that Serena can make, in my opinion, is pairing Bronze with Houghton, because we saw how terrible that was in 2019. I don't love it. Okay, before we move on to predictions, I have to ask the big question. Can England do it? Can they take home the trophy?
Yes, but it's going to take a monumental effort. It's going to be a squad effort, and it's going to be the senior players in that team who've won the Euros now know how it feels to win saying this as an England fan is weird, but seeing England win a trophy, and now they know how it feels to win a trophy, is going to be big going forward into the World Cup, and knowing that they can beat teams of high caliber, knowing they can beat a Spain, knowing they can beat a Germany. I feel like it's on the cards for England to do something, and Serena is phenomenal and she manages games so well. And I think that the result against Australia was good for us, because going into the World Cup on that huge unbeaten streak was, again, kind of more pressure, if anything. So now the pressure's kind of been released, and we've learned more about ourselves as a team, and other teams have learned how to play against England too. So I think, yes, England can still do it. They have the experience, they have the players. In Kira Walsh, they have a phenomenal 6. And in Georgia Stanway, who we often overlook because of Walsh and how good Walsh is.
Don't overlook Georgia. I love her.
No, because she's been phenomenal for Bayern Munich this season, and they're going to win the title because of how good she's been, not just goal scoring, but assists, and her tenacity.
A workhorse. She covers ground, and she brings a fire to teams that is needed.
And we didn't see that at Manchester City enough because of the fact she was played out of position too much, and she was just accommodating at that point because of the players that they had. But I think that if those two are firing and we're finding them and we're playing through them, England can beat anybody on their day. And I think they can do it. I still think they can do it. It's a longer shot now, but I still think they can do it.
Yeah, no, 100% think England can do it. Are we the favourites like we were before? No, I don't think we are. But I have still a strong belief. The core of the team that won the Euros is still in that team. And I have faith in that core.
All right. Predictions for this group. Let's rank them. Who goes first? Who goes second? Who goes third? Who goes fourth? Who wants to go first?
I can, that's fine. I'm obviously going to go England first. I'm not going to throw an upset in there because I think Denmark will finish second. I think Haiti will push them. I think Haiti's going to finish third and China bottom. That's my prediction for the group. And I think that Haiti could upset somebody here along the way. I'm pulling for them to upset somebody, just not England.
Allie?
Yeah, very similar. I think it's England first, Denmark second. I think Haiti are going to upset Denmark and they will go third. And China fourth.
Wow. Haiti will upset Denmark, but then they'll drop two and Denmark will take one off of England?
No, I think that Haiti will draw with Denmark.
Oh, gotcha. And then goal difference.
That's the upset.
I think it goes England, Denmark, China, Haiti. Let's not overlook.
So you're not going.
They
no
are
upsets from you.
Asia Cup champions. Okay, we got to give credit where credit is due. We will see. That is Group D for the Women's Soccer Show. I've been Sarah.
I've been Allie.
And I've been Amy.
Thanks, everybody.